Okay, physical and chemical changes, lab part 2. So we are on to station number 3. We ended at station number 2 on video 1. Station number 3 reads, you got to keep this one separate because this is a two-parter. Station 3 is about tearing a piece of paper. So as long as we got our lab here, but all it's good for in virtual setting is to tear it up. So we're tearing our piece of paper into smaller pieces of paper. That's what lab 3 was. What kind of change is that when I tear something into smaller pieces, but it's still the same thing? It's still the same substance. What type of change is that? Then 3B says to take your tiny little piece of paper and put them on a watch glass. That's what this is. You can think of it like a small fire pit because we're going to do more fire. And use a match to, ignite it. You need to ignite it. We talked in the chapter reading about how paper doesn't just spontaneously combust, even though it's surrounded by oxygen. You need an ignition source. But when I ignite it, using my match here, it starts on fire. Oop, that didn't start on fire too well. I'll use a second match. More fire is never a bad thing, right? I'll spread my pieces out a little bit here. That way we'll get a good fire. It's always fun to play with fire, as long as it's in a controlled setting. So even though I didn't get a roaring fire, that's why I used little pieces in a watch glass. You can see that the edges of my piece of paper, the parts that were on fire, have changed color. They've become charred or even turned into ash. They've gone through a change. It is a new substance. It has a new color, has a new feel. Some energy was given off. A fire is heat and light being given off. So there was a change in that one. Okay. 4A, I got to move my camera for a second. And I've pre-set up a lot of these next ones to try to make the videos a little bit shorter. But we'll see how that works out. 4A is going to be this one off to my left. And in 4A, it just asks you to take a test tube full of water and add some salt. So I got just some common table salt in here. I'm going to add a pinch of salt to my test tube. Now this is once again where it kind of gets a little tough to see, but then you would swirl your test tube. And as I swirl, I can see those little grains of salt are slowly disappearing. There's getting to be less and less grains of salt as I swirl that around. Even I'll stopper it and I'll shake it since it's not a dangerous chemical. It's just salt. You would never do this with a dangerous chemical. During a lab, I always tell you which chemicals to be aware of. But now all of my salt has dissolved. It's spread out throughout my column of water. That is 4A, dissolving. The salt is still salt, but it's all spread out. Then 4B asks me to add some silver nitrate. Silver nitrate is a dangerous chemical. You do not want to get this on your skin. That's why it's in the special dropper bottle. We're just going to add a few drops and see what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's more than enough. Even on your camera, you see that we get this nice white milky color up top. And it's slowly spreading. Oops, sorry. I was off camera a little bit. And it's slowly spreading and dropping. This is a real-life example of a precipitate forming. So when two liquids mixed, I got this solid that will settle out over time. Towards the end, I'll try to remember to show you that will settle to the bottom. That's how I know it's a solid. So new color and precipitate. 5A, piece of magnesium strip. So I have my magnesium strip right here. Little strip of magnesium. I can cut it with a scissors. So I'm going to cut off a few pieces. That is 5A, just to cut off a few pieces. Cutting or tearing, it's still magnesium. It's just in a smaller form. Then let's see if we can fit 5B in here yet. I'm thinking not because I'm struggling to pick these up. So we might have to do 5B on the next video. 5B, we put them in a test tube. And then, I'm going to do this on the next video so that I'm not rushed here. Look forward to it.